Dang it. Oh, no. Come on in. Because now it's time to learn, to cook, to taste.
I'm not one of you anemic creatures who can get nourishment from a lettuce leaf. I'm a musician. I'm an artist. I have zest and appetite, and I like food.
My name's Joyce, and I noticed that you have not tasted any of the ambrosia salad that I made especially for you. Allow me.
A lot of people, that's their story. Good times, noodle salad.
And for the lady, perhaps a salad?
Perhaps not. I'll have the steak smothered in onions, a rack of ribs, pasta with extra garlic, French fries with lots of vinegar, and a side of onion rings with lots and lots of sauerkraut.
Oh, Meg, you don't have any salad.
I will have a Cobb salad, no blue cheese.
Cobb salad, no beets. Cobb salad, no bacon.
Cobb salad, no eggs.
Where's the salad?
The salad comes at the end of the meal.
That's the fork I knew.
Yes, and what about a salad?
Salad? There is only one salad. Salad Francois.
Your salad?
Let's try it.
Try it?
What's in it?
I'll show you. Garlic. Perfume for a gourmet. I gently rub the inside of the bowl. Petit pois from France. Voyons pour son lavis. Comme non viens say avoir. Brasa de pêcher sur tout Champs-Élysées. Apartment 2-4B. Egg from a chicken. Lemon. You must be ruthless. Cheese Parmesan from Italy. Barbadacci frizzante Boribedacci. Cocciaresenda a baccalà. A baccalà. Carfone e babarini. A pure menene. Apro figra, bravissima. Onion from Bermuda. You slice the onion very thin. This gives the salad flavor. It makes it bright, refreshing, and gay. Mix, toss, mix, toss, toss, mix, toss, mix, toss, mix, toss.
I don't think so.
Salad. That's what we're talking about on today's episode of To Taste, the cooking podcast where every episode dives deep into a different food. I'm your host, Cody Reiss, and it's honestly hard to imagine a better person to talk to about salad than today's guest, the one and only Alice Waters of Chez Panisse. Now, I actually cooked for a couple years at Chez Panisse. It was awesome. I made hundreds of salads, so in a way, I already owe a lot of my salad knowledge to Alice, and I think after this episode, you might too. I had a lovely, meandering conversation with Alice. We talked about her salad awakening and how she approaches making it at home, and I hope you enjoy. So, without further ado, here's my conversation with Alice. What does salad mean to you?
Salad means everything to me. It was the first thing that I tasted in France when I went in 1965 to live for a year. And I had never tasted salad like that. I never understood that there was anything except iceberg lettuce. From my childhood, and maybe there was a little romaine. And it was so delicious in different parts of France, particularly in Paris. I had a lot of frisée, and in the south of France, I had that mesclun salad that was a mix of rocket and chervil and all different things. But when I came back, it was the first thing I thought of to put on the fixed price menu of Chez Panisse. But I wanted to make sure that people really loved it. So I compromised a little on my mesclun and that I didn't make it too bitter. And I planted my whole backyard of my house with mesclun salad because I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to find all the ingredients for it. But I did. And I hired a farmer, and actually she grew all these salads. And that was the case until we found the great farmer, Bob Kennard, who is not just an organic salad grower up in Sonoma, but he was a regenerative farmer. And he said his salads were 25% more nutritious than anybody else's. And I laughed, and of course they are. Because what he wanted to do was take all the compost, the food compost from Chez Panisse, up to his farm and put it in the soil so it could pull down the carbon from up in the air and put it in the ground where it belonged. And it allowed every little worm and bug to give nutrition to the soil. And so, what can I say?
I love that. No, please, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that Bob, began with salads, but then it went to all different kinds of fruits and vegetables that we ended up buying. And right now, we're getting salad from his son, who's taking care of the garden. And I'm so excited because whereas Bob would only grow 4 different kinds of radicchio, his son is growing about 15.
Wow, amazing. I love that. I'm curious, what was salad like before you went to France? What were the salads of your youth like, if you had a salad at dinner?
Absolutely. Iceberg lettuce. And it was cut in wedges. And sometimes it had sort of Thousand Island dressing poured over it. And then it had, who was that actor who had his...
Newman.
Paul Newman.
Paul Newman, yeah.
And that was sort of a vinaigrette kind of salad with, I think, a little garlic in it. I'm not sure.
I'm curious what, zoomed out, can you just describe your ideal salad?
Well, I love salad so much that I'm kind of open. It doesn't have an ideal ending. It has, I'm hoping when I go visit another country that they're going to show me a different way of dressing the salad or different ingredients. And I'm always open to that. But I have to say that I love chervil in a salad. I love frisée. I love rocket. I mean, I could eat rocket salads every night. But of course, these beautiful radicchios are, even though they're slightly bitter, when they're grown at the right time of year, when they first come up, they aren't so bitter. But as it goes into February and March, they grow differently. But these are just some of the little colors that they have.
I just want to pause here to let the listener at home know that at this point, Alice has a bowl of beautiful lettuces at her side and is picking them up one by one, and just in awe of each one, just to give you a little picture of what's going on.
And this is that all-purpose frisée
there it is.
that I love. Again, all of these are grown organically, and with that sense that, I'm going to eat these right now. And when they're gone, they're gone. I won't have them till next year. And instead of feeling deprived by that, I am thrilled to go on to the spring salad.
Yes,
I'm
totally.
just thrilled. And, they're butter lettuces, and we're getting all of those red ones still. But it's the way that I just think about food generally. That I want, and I learned this from the French again, because I went there and, I tasted something incredible, like a wild strawberry. And I said, I want this every day. And they said, sorry, they come from up in the mountains. And this is at the end of the season. People have to go up in the fir trees and go under and pick them wildly in the fall. And when they're over till next fall. and so I really accepted that as the way to eat the best tasting, irresistible food. Whether it's, a young lamb in the spring, that's just a taste. And then as it gets bigger, you cook it differently, and it's another taste. But I know even in very cold climates, you can preserve things by canning them. My parents lived in New Jersey, so we were in a very cold place. And it was during the war, and everybody was asked to plant victory gardens during the war so that the food that was available generally could be sent to the soldiers during the war. And so everybody in my parents' neighborhood planted a victory garden, either a big one in the backyard or in their front yard. And then they would trade. Somebody had an apple tree, they'd share their apples. And so I got to taste strawberries and tomatoes at their peak in humid, hot New Jersey. And I guess I have to go back to New Jersey to have them again.
Right.
But that's beautiful too. There's a different taste of strawberry here because of the humidity, I'm sure. But little tiny ones, those cherries get quite ripe. And we have a friend who I was introduced to very early on, who lives in Rancho Santa Fe, down south.
Yeah.
And they were a Japanese family that farmed before the war. And
this is Chino Farms?
Chino Farms.
Yeah.
And I made a tomato poster about their tomatoes. I could only put about 25 on the poster, but they made me taste about 100.
Wow,
they
I love that.
Planted seeds from all around the world. They would see which ones grew, which ones didn't. But I think that is really the thrill of food, is the biodiversity of food.
Yeah.
And it just gets me every time.
I remember when I first started at Chez, it was like February and every staff meal was beet greens, and that was awesome for a little while. And I remember, when March started coming around in April and there started to be, fennel and new things, it was it's such a joy.
It's just such a joy because it absolutely changes your perspective, and it's constantly doing that for you. I mean, I look forward to Masimoto's peaches because there's something, but I wasn't in the country in September.
Oh no.
And I was going to miss them. And I just got the tail end when I came back to Chez, and I just loved even tasting one that wasn't up to par for me. I just remembered what that really tastes like, how when it's irresistible, it is irresistible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I loved it you don't have to put this in the film at all, but when I got the Julia Child Award, Jose Andres gave it to me, and he said, I just have to tell you something. I had a dinner very early on at Chez Panisse, and I got a little tiny plate, and it had on 3 dates. 3 dates on the plate. That was dessert. And he said, ah. And then he tasted the date. And he said, I've never, ever had anything like that in my life. It changed my life. It opened my mind. And that's what I love to do at Chez. I just love people to understand that we're trying to have them taste things that they may not have ever had before.
Absolutely. I
And
had a
fall in
similar
love.
experience at Chez with the anchovies. I never thought I liked
Yes.
anchovies, and when I had my first plate of those like La Scala anchovies, it really blew my mind open, and I was like, oh, I just hadn't had the best version of this thing before, and so I didn't
Yeah.
realize how delicious it could be.
Well, I went to Spain and I lived for 3 months in Spain. And somebody opened one of those jars of anchovies. And I said, oh my God, I've got to find where they come from. And they were right off the coast near where we were. And I went right into the anchovy factory and I said, I need to get these. And turned out Michael Sullivan would import them for us. But
So amazing.
it was amazing. And some things I make exceptions around strictly local. I always want the organic regenerative, but if it's something like something that has been canned that we really need in our kitchen, I always thought it would be olive oil. But it turns out, after going to many of the Good Food Awards judging contest, I realized that great olive oil can grow in this country.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so exciting. We compared them with all the olive oils of Italy and France and Spain. And in California, it came out first.
I love that. I want to bring us back to salads. I'm curious, like, what are the like basic ingredients, the universal ingredients in a salad for you? I'm thinking like the greens or the produce, the dressing. Like, what goes into a salad?
Well, the dressing always has for me garlic, salt, a vinegar. It can sometimes be a mix of a sweeter and a red wine vinegar, and great olive oil. And I always make it the same way. I have a little mortar and pestle, and I grind the garlic. And I know that at different times of the year, it's stronger or weaker. But I always tame the garlic, calm it down, by adding some salt and some of the vinegar I'm going to use when I make the vinaigrette. And so it sits there during the course of dinner to sort of marry. And then I just stick my finger in it. And I say, oh, needs more vinegar, but let's put the olive oil, the full amount in. And I keep tasting. And sometimes it needs a little more salt, but, you know, and during garlic time, when it's so beautiful, I like more, which is the summertime. In the winter, it's stronger. And that, I'm just, and then I'm sticking, you know, a piece of lettuce in it and tasting it. And I say, great. And then I pour it on the salad.
What is the role of, because at Chez sometimes we would put ginger in a dressing, sometimes we would put shallot in a dressing.
Yeah.
What is the, like, I guess specifically with the garlic and shallot, like what is the role of those in the dressing, and how do you decide which to use when?
Well, I always want garlic. Sometimes garlic and shallot, but always garlic for me. Since we do a garlic festival every year at the restaurant. And I love the Chinese proverb that garlic is as good as 10 mothers.
I love that.
And I believe that. So I always want garlic every day. And something in the vinaigrette is it rounds out the vinaigrette from my point of view. And it relates, absolutely works with the vinegar. That's why I put the two together. And with the salt to let them go together. And then I can add the olive oil at the end.
Can you talk a little bit about like balancing a vinaigrette?
Well, it has a lot to do with the lettuce. I mean, if the lettuce is like a butter lettuce, or it's not one of these bitter ones, a little gem kind of lettuce, I think about it differently than I do with a strong lettuce. I'm looking for more garlic and more vinegar in that stronger lettuce. And then for the milder one, I'm careful about it so that it doesn't overwhelm the taste of the lettuce.
Do you have a ratio in mind when you're making a vinaigrette?
It's probably, oh goodness, a third is vinegar and garlic. And it's so dependent on how strong that olive oil is, and how much you want to bring that taste out. I love sherry vinegar to sort of soften the strong red wine taste. And that, of course, changes the balance a little bit of the olive oil. You want more of the vinegar mixture.
With creamy dressings, how do you think about the ratio of the creamy ingredient to vinegar?
I rarely make really creamy salads. I love to eat all different salads at Chez and other places, but I'm wanting that, like the French always had salad after the main dish, so that it cleansed the palate and got you ready for dessert. So I could eat 2 salads a night. I could eat a vegetable salad before, and I could eat a green salad always before dessert.
How do you think about like vegetable salads? Like one of the things that struck me at Chez was, there would be a salad that is just basically tomato with a little bit of vinaigrette dribbled on it and a little bit of mayonnaise. Like, what makes a salad a salad?
A salad has become a mixture of vegetables for me, and they could be diced, they could be shaved, they could be grilled, they could be made in a lot of different ways. And what I'm loving are salads where a lot of things are shaved in them, because all of a sudden they look so different. And you fall in love with the ingredients, and especially if it's a couple of colors of carrots. You think you didn't like those, and all of a sudden you...
Right, it's like a plate of confetti. I remember having a shaved zucchini salad before I worked at Chez, when I was eating at Chez, that really made me love zucchini, like raw zucchini in a way that I hadn't before.
Yes, that's the beauty of it, is that idea of vinaigrette is so universal. And then you can very easily get children to eat vegetables when they're dipping them in a vinaigrette themselves, or when they're cut in a way that they seem so accessible. And little rounds, and they can be dipped, where they aren't that big old carrot. But the beauty of biodiversity has brought us 9 colors of carrots. So we can always mix all those colors and be charmed at every meal. And they're so good for us, and they're so good for kids.
Today's episode of To Taste is brought to you by Mr. Meatball's Spaghetti a la Mode. Mr. Meatball, now 100% boneless with 50% less sauce. Yum, yum, yum. I love Mr. Meatball. Actually, just joking. We don't have any sponsors yet, somehow. But if your company wants to get on board a sinking ship, feel free to reach out on Instagram or ultimately and honestly wherever. Anyways, let's get back to the rest of our conversation with Alice. how are you thinking about how to prepare the different ingredients in the salad? Is it about beauty? Is it about like a mixture of shapes? Like how do you make those decisions?
It's, without any question, it's about beauty. Beauty is first, and that can come with the biodiversity of the ingredients, of course. And of course, you want it to have taste. But beauty is what makes you want to taste it. You just say, I've never seen anything like that. Like what that radicchio can do. You just say, wow, is that really edible?
So we have kind of this base vinaigrette idea that you were talking about, which is, garlic, salt, oil, and vinegar. How do you think about like going beyond that base dressing?
I love it when people go beyond that. And I'm always tasting salads at Chez. Even though I don't make them at home, I stick to my mesclun and my familiar vinaigrette. But I guess I'm always looking for new lettuce greens. And I love it when Chez is using something like a blanched chard or something that I'm always thinking that's a vegetable with the main dish. And then all of a sudden it becomes a little treat on a crouton that's with a salad. And I'm charmed by that. And I think it's something that has become kind of new at Chez in the last number of years. The shaving of ingredients, whether it be a turnip or whether it be those beautiful carrots, that the salads have a different look to them. And I love that. I love that I am surprised when I go to the restaurant and see something like that. I said to Beth and Nathan, you've got to write a new cookbook with pictures in it. Because we're teaching people how to eat vegetables, raw vegetables, which are so good for you. It's not just the salad, but it's all the others.
I had the thought when you were talking that, like, when we would do a tartare at the restaurant, it was kind of a fish tossed in a vinaigrette often. Like, is that a salad?
Well, I think of things when they aren't hot as being in that salad place, that cold plate. And if it's a tartare, that fits on the side of the greens that go with the tartare. And I think it could be a beautiful piece of fish. I had an extraordinary fish when I went to France just recently at my favorite restaurant. They baked a river trout and rock salt.
Oh, wow.
I just forgot about how we used to do that with salmon. I know it's a bit of a project to do it, but in a way with a smaller fish like that, and they served it with salad, and I just was kind of knocked out by it.
Wow. And what's your favorite restaurant in Paris?
Well, I have lots from this last trip, but Semilla has always been a real favorite of mine. I used to stay at a hotel right there in the 5th arrondissement, and I used to be able to go at the bar by myself and have a whole meal, and they had a fixed price menu like Chez, and I would taste things that I hadn't before. And of course, they had the good old Bandeau Rosé.
Sure. Keeps the engine going.
Keeps the engine going. It does.
Okay, interesting. So, what I'm hearing is at home, you're going with a pretty basic vinaigrette. Like, you're not adding anchovies. You might not even add mustard.
Those two things I might add. Exactly. I would. But I might just put them on the plate with the salad, just whole anchovies, or make a little crouton and put the anchovy on the crouton. No, I always like something a little crunchy. I don't like it when I'm given a whole loaf of, a big hunk of bread and butter. It feels like I'm a little bit compromising my salad experience. I don't mind that little anchovy toast or a little something, a tartare on the side. I love aioli. I love aioli. I think that's my, again, it's that garlic olive oil place that I learned when I went to France the first time. And I had many artichokes this time with aioli. And they serve them whole. And you take the leaves and you dip them in the aioli. And I forgot what it was like to eat artichokes whole. And I love it when you have that experience in a restaurant. We used to do that, do the artichoke whole. And I want to do it again because it makes you really understand what that plant is all about. And then you get down to the heart. And it's just an understanding that whole, the tips of every leaf are delicious. And I love learning about ingredients that way, where I see them whole. And the top of a tomato is cut out for me, and I can just take that off. But I love that about a restaurant that's introducing me to something.
Yeah, I think that seems so what Chez is all about. I think even like with the main courses you get, it's like everything is given to you very plainly. Your piece of chicken looks like a piece of chicken, and it's all,
I do like that.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, and so I guess like what's like with a salad, how does that idea that you're talking about, the artichoke, of like interacting with things as they are and getting to like having this sort of like relationship with the natural form of these ingredients, like how does that come into your salad?
Like a little radicchio leaf. You could put your salad in that leaf. You could shave up radicchio and make a little vinaigrette and put it right in the radicchio leaf. You could do that. And some of these other ones are just so charming that they could be cut in half. Just cut it down the center or cut it in quarters and put the vinaigrette on it like that. Oh, God, look at this guy.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Look at that.
She is showing me more lettuces here, and they are cool.
With its green inside.
Beautiful.
No, but it's so great to see the whole ingredient in some way, that you aren't thinking that exactly where did this come from. I like people to know.
How do you think about like pairing ingredients in a salad? Like I imagine seasonality is a big part of it, like what vegetables are in season at the moment. And I'm curious, like how do you think about how ingredients go together?
Well, if I think a salad is a little bit too acidic, I just grab an apple and shave an apple. And my favorite instrument or cooking implement is the mandolin. And I have a little Japanese one, and it's just so easy to use that you don't cut your fingers. But I'm careful about it when I'm cutting something like a carrot. But it just shaves it in the most beautiful way.
You were saying if you taste a salad and it's too acidic, you might add an apple, little like shavings of apple. That's because the apple is sweet, and that offsets.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Cool.
And it just offsets. If I put a little too much vinegar in it, I can always slice an apple and make it right.
But are there things that like an apple wouldn't go with? Like, would you put apple in a salad that had feta versus blue cheese versus Parmesan, or like, are they all compatible?
I think they're all pretty compatible.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not somebody who has, I don't think of putting cheese in salads so much. It's not that it couldn't work and be tasty, but I'm a little bit like fruit and cheese for dessert. And so I'm thinking of it in that kind of way. And, but I do like a Roquefort in a salad sometimes. I do.
Yeah, I love Roquefort.
Love Roquefort.
Can you talk a little bit about like tossing a salad? I think like a lot of people maybe end up with salads that are overdressed, underdressed.
Well, I'm very bad because I toss salad with my hands and I eat it with my hands when I'm alone.
Sure.
But I try to use the wooden salad spoon and fork when I'm tossing it. And I always toss it at the last minute and always taste. And I always put less vinaigrette in and add it as I need to. But I do that, everybody expects me to do that at the table, which is what I do. And it's very hard for me to get out of the habit of eating the salad with my hands.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think it's a good way to do it.
At home, but I promised I wouldn't do it at the restaurant anymore. In the dining room.
In the dining room, at least, yeah. What are you looking for when you're tossing the salad? Like, I think I was just reading The Art of Simple Food, and it said like just until it's shiny was kind of the idea. Is that how you think about it?
I do think about that. You don't want it in any way dripping with vinaigrette. You just want a sheen on the leaves. But again, that's absolutely about taste. And I always go for less and add more.
And
always.
When you're making a salad at home, I think I'll watch videos of Jacques Pepin, and he'll make like a big jar of dressing with the dregs of the like mustard left over, keep it in the fridge for a week. Do you batch make dressings at home, or are you making your dressing fresh every time you have a salad?
I'm kind of doing it when I have a salad, because if I didn't have garlic in there, I might save it if I was making, and I usually have a little salad with my eggs at breakfast, and it's nice to be able to just have something that's made with a little mustard in it. But I'm very sensitive about the garlic.
What about like when you're serving a salad for people, not just for yourself, where you might eat it out of the big bowl at home, like you're serving it on a big plate. How do you think about like plating, garnishing a salad in a way that makes it beautiful, inviting, shows off the ingredients?
Well, they are the showing off. The salad very often is that place that can really express the beauty.
When I was on the salad station, it was like the idea was that they should kind of be tall. They should be like big and triumphant. Is that something that you think about when you're like making a salad for people?
That it should stand up, you mean? Well, I sometimes it's too much on the plate. I never want to give them a salad that's too big. I mean, even though I love salad so much, but if they have a lot of ingredients, and you don't want to spoil the appetite. If they're a lunch salad, big is great. If that's what they're eating.
Yeah.
But if they're having it before dinner, no.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess like a larger question I have that I've been thinking about as I interview people for this is like, how does someone become an intuitive cook in the kitchen? Like, I imagine you're probably not looking at recipes very often when you're throwing together a dinner party. What do you think makes someone an intuitive cook? How do you get there?
Just by tasting. all of the time. And what we do in the kitchen, which is very unusual for cooks in the kitchen to do, because we have all of the cooks tasting all of the food before it goes out to the dining room for the fixed price meal downstairs. And it is the chef who makes the judgment call. So let's say one of the cooks is on the salad course. Well, people are saying, oh, I think it needs a little more salt, or why don't you make the pink come up bigger on the plate, or whatever it is. But then the chef will hear all of this and she'll say, it's true, it needs a little more salt. But I like the amount of color on the plate. And, so people who are working in the kitchen are tasting all of the time. And we do that for every course, every night at the restaurant. And we do it for dessert, too. And I'm always asked, when I go in by the pastry chefs, this is the fruit plate for the night. Is it good enough? Because they know I have a history of tasting all of the fruit through the whole season, or something new comes in. And so I'm really fine-tuned in that place. Also, I'm fine-tuned in terms of salads. But I always am learning. And I think that you kind of have to be, or want to be, because yes, when you're having somebody over for dinner, you want something predictable. But I learn every time I use my grill, and I consider myself a very adept in that place. I used to be the person on grill at Chez Panisse, and I always want a fire at night in my fireplace. So even if I'm not grilling something, I dream up something at the moment to put on the grill. It might be toast. It might be, but I love the warmth of the fire, and I love the taste of the wood and the whole experience. I mean, we put the fireplace in the restaurant before it was really allowed to be in a restaurant, because they only had certain kind of fireplaces that were safe, and we made it safe. And I think that really opened up the doors for us to use the spit in the kitchen. And I mean, it takes somebody very knowledgeable to take care of the fireplace. And it takes a lot to learn it, but it's a wonderful skill. And I know it's not so good for climate change.
Right.
But we do use the fallen trees and the wood from that in the fireplace.
I'm curious, like, when you're eating a salad, what do you think are like common challenges people have, or common like pitfalls, or things that you notice that could be improved when you have a salad that you don't think is quite right?
It's putting too much vinaigrette on, or not enough.
Right.
I think that's the big fault of a salad. I usually, if it's too much, or I mean not enough, I always ask somebody, could I have a little olive oil? And then I'm good. But I think that is a problem. It's too much dressing.
Yeah. And if people add too much in their bowl, like, should they just put more lettuce in, make a bigger salad?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm always saying, salad can usually sit for maybe 5 minutes or so, maybe even 10. And you can toss the salad in a big bowl and then have it ready to put on every plate when the orders come in. You don't have to make that salad at 3 minutes before. So it gives you time to really evaluate it and taste it. And then the things that you're adding to that plate can be focused on, whether it's a little piece of fish, tartare, or something else.
And you know, a lot of times when we were adding stuff to the salads, we would toss those in vinaigrettes and give them a little salt. Is that something that you do
That
too?
is something I do too. It depends on what it is. And again, I wouldn't do that with apples, but I might do it with something that's a little bit harder to get dressed. I might just add a
chunk of cucumber or something.
Yes, maybe I'd do that.
Yeah, cool. That's amazing. Well, I think that's like a lot of my questions about salad. I don't know if you have any like final words for anyone listening about salad.
All I can say is fall in love with it because it's so good for you.
I love that.
But it's true.
Yeah.
Fall in love. And I definitely have been in love for 50 years, 53. No, 55 probably.
Wow, it's amazing. Well, I think I'll probably make a salad for myself right now.
Good.
Alice, thank you so very much.
I'd love for you to have my lettuces, so just come on over.
Yeah, I wish I could grab them through the screen. All right, well, you take so much care. It was so lovely to see you, and thank you so much for taking the time.
Great to talk to you.
All
Great.
right.
Wonderful. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Taste. If you liked this episode, make sure to give us a follow, leave us a review, and check out our Instagram at To Taste Podcast for bonus material. I'm your host, Cody Reiss. You can find me on Instagram at Cody Reiss, CODYREISS. And if you like this podcast, you'll probably also like my Substack of food and travel writing, which happens to also be called To Taste, so go check that out. To Taste is made by me, Cody Reiss, with art by Ben Balchin-Chetty, music by Justin Kohlberg of Moonrun, and on this episode, some very generous audio help from Simon Lindstedt. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode, and until then, take it easy and go eat a salad.